Hello, welcome to All for United WFC. Here for the first time ever, Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live here on YouTube on the new YouTube channel. Of course, we did a pre-record last week, but we are back live this week. We told you we wouldn't let you down 2 weeks in a row, so we are back. How are we, Matt?
Yeah, really good, mate. A decent day, like I say, weather's decent. Can't complain. Football this morning, so. Yeah, all good. And I've got 2 weeks off because it's half term. So happy days all around. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. It's John Foster, the man himself, already in the comments. Thank you, John. Let's get rid of this rumble himself. I'm sure that's an Anton Deputy phrase again.
He's probably got his DJ deck singing that.
Judge Jules live.
Live from his house.
Stu Woolley, nice to see you, brother. How are you? Robert, as always, mate. Evening, pal. How are you? Evening, Stu again, mate. So, Matt, we've seen this. I'm going to dive straight into this. It's Team GB because it is, well, maybe not so much in the wider women's community, footballing community, but I think certainly between us, it's this Team GB announcement has me absolutely baffled. I don't know about you, lad. What was your impression when you first saw the team announced and the members of the team?
Shambles.
In particular, shambles.
Shambles, mate. That's being polite. I think, listen, obviously we did a Team GB show. I think it was one of my Tuesday shows about a month ago. And we all picked our little 11 or 18, or in Anthony's case, 27. And it was just, I don't know, like, I struggle to understand certain players getting picked. I mean, I say it for the Lionesses, but I don't think it's fair. You've got players there, some that have been in poor form, some that have barely played, and yet there's quality players that have been left out. I know some of the Irish players weren't best pleased, even some of the Scottish. I'd argue that Erin Cuthbert was harshly treated, and she's somebody I didn't even personally sort of tweet about. I mean, I had her in my Olympic team, but I can't understand it. Listen, I wasn't a fan of that manager before she got announced for the Lionesses. I was dead against that. I said this the other day. I said it at the time, and people sort of questioned it. And, they were saying, oh, well, she's been a great coach. But a coach isn't a manager. It's two different things. So, like I say, but I think long story short, she's gone with predominantly Lionesses, which is just ridiculous. Isn't GB more or less Man City? Pretty much, yeah, I think.
Much,
11, 12 Man City players. So we're basically just rocking up to watch Man City at the Olympics, pretty much. But I think for me, just ridiculous. I tweeted the other day that, Lottie Wubben-Moy, Jordan Nobbs, Sandy McKeever and Greenwood should be in for me. And I'd be taking out Jill Scott, Steph, Karen Bardsley and Demi Stokes. If I go into this individually, Lottie Wubben-Moy has played with Leah Williamson. They've been solid for Arsenal. Arsenal's not had a great season, but them two have really, formed a great partnership. A pairing, I'd actually said we need to consider going forward for England, looking at the next generation. And I just think, I think Steph's had God knows how many Olympics now, same as Jill. They've had the time. She's not been great for England. She's had things going on in her personal life. She's struggled for City. That's just life. Things catch up with you and things happen in your personal life and it affects your performance. So I think that for me was the reason for that. I think with Sandy McKeever, again, very good young English goalkeeper, had a quality season for Everton. I can't remember where she ranked in terms of like the clean sheets. I know there was that Soccer Donna page what tweeted about the clean sheets. And I think what annoyed me about KB getting called up was, she's had a clanger the last couple of times for England. She's getting on. She's played twice for Man City. And she's currently now in America on loan, and she's not been great. I don't know if you saw the goal. She got lobbed. She come flying out of a goal and got lobbed. So that in itself is ridiculous. Now, some people said it's experience. But for me, Mary Earps at 28, that's been to World Cups, that's been to Euros and things like that, And let's not forget, was the second best English goalkeeper in the league. Behind Ellie Roebuck, she kept 2 clean sheets less. In the same amount of games, and people criticise her every single week. So I think to not take her, then for me, the next one will be Sandy. And I can't understand why KB's in there. Listen, it's very rare that sub-keeper plays. So, you know, the saying experience and that, does it really matter who it is as long as it's somebody good enough? I'd argue not. Is KB good enough anymore? No. Again, Demi Stokes, I mean, listen, she can probably, you know, defend a little bit better than Alex, but then I'd argue with Alex, you know, her set pieces and her free kicks and she's, you know, a wand of a left foot, really good delivery on dead balls and from set plays. And she's versatile. You know, City have had her at centre half. You know, I think she can be left back. She could probably be left wing, to be fair, if needed for cover. But, you know, again, it's versatile and it's some options. But again, you know, we have to chuck in Demi Stokes, who's struggled again for form and fitness this year. Yeah, just bizarre. And then obviously Jordan Nobbs. I mean, you know, anyone that's watched Jordan play since she sort of broke into that Arsenal team as a sort of 18-year-old, you know, I don't think needs an introduction. How she's dropped for Jill Scott, I do not know. You know, Jill's probably played about 6-7 games for Everton since going on loan. Not even been a regular starter there. Just absolutely ridiculous. I cannot understand that one. I think a lot of people said about Nobbs. I've seen a lot of comments on Nobbs and Greenwood, and I'm just baffled. I really am. You know, we've like I say, we've got Jill in there, and you know she's been great for England over the years, but now the time's come. You know, she's struggling for pace. You know, she's getting the run around. I think Jordan's just one of them. You know, she's box to box. She can hit a ball well. She offers a lot more. She had a better season. But yet here we are. Yeah, same old. Here we are, just kind of, you know, dropping players, and we're sort of going off what I call past glories. You know, it's more like I've read comments saying, oh, people are getting called up on the name, which I completely agree. And we've got to get rid of this ridiculous thing about sentiment. You know, we sometimes talk about it, don't we, at United? Oh, you know, such a player is playing because of this or because the captain or whatever, or such a player is playing because they're one of these people. And it's just, I can't understand it, mate. I really can't. It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. You think, let's go and, you know, go over to Tokyo, give a good account of ourselves. I thought that, you know, we had a chance to maybe win a bronze, but I think I'm struggling to look at that now. Looking at that team, happy for the Welsh, well, Sophie Ingle, should I say, that's been called up. But again, you know, I think it's one of them where it needs fresh legs and it needs fresh ideas, and sadly, we've not got it.
The thing that baffles me about this is supposed to be Team GB. We say it looks like it's Team Manchester City, which most of the players are Man City, but it's also Team England. If you look at it, all of it's England, apart from, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 Scottish players and 1 Welsh player. For me, I've said it. I've said it to you on WhatsApp, I believe, and I've said it to a few other people on WhatsApp and on social media, that I don't think the Olympics for me is not a proper footballing tournament. You know, not like the World Cup or the Euros. It's very insignificant in terms of, you know, where I'd put it in terms of the Champions Leagues and FA Cups and league titles and that. For me, I'd love to have seen a bit more of a mix, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen somewhere that, again, I'm not the biggest international football fan, that Northern Ireland have had quite a good time of late, but there's no Northern Irish players in there. You would have thought that maybe even on the reserve player list, you might have had a Northern Irish player in there, just to, because they have been, I believe, going through a bit of a decent time. But the one thing that does baffle me as well, though, is I'd have used this now to blood younger players. Bring your next lot through. You know, I don't know what the fitness of Lauren James is like, but that could have been a stage for LJ to step up. I think, like Stu said there, no LJ is she. I'm not sure if she's still injured or not, but
I don't think she's fully fit. Put it that way, if she is back, which I suppose is fair enough in a way, because she's spent most of the season out, hasn't she? But even still. Yeah. I agree. I don't think there's anybody good enough even for that reserve list. You look at Niamh Charles, who I mentioned ages ago in our show, is the next break into the England squad, and you compare to Northern Ireland's best player, who's probably Rachel Furness at Liverpool. I think they're just completely different levels. So I think the Irish would probably feel hard done by. Do you know what? I'd be, like I say, I think if I was Erin Cuthbert, I'd feel hard done by.
Yeah, I was just like thinking, because to myself, you know, Scotland. Yeah, all right. We all know that. I think England, even if the men's had a GB team throughout all the Olympic games, I know we had one in the 2012 Olympics in London. It'll always be predominantly English players, because obviously the caliber that England have for players, you know, it's probably we could argue is above, you know, certain other countries. But you're telling me that a Kirsty Hansen couldn't go there for Scotland and, you know, gave a good account of herself. You couldn't tell me. Erin Cuthbert's another one. Why isn't she not in there? That's a strange one. But I don't know, mate. I just don't like seeing people like Jill Scott in there. She struggled to get the City team. She went on loan to Everton.
Yeah.
Did she play that much for Everton?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. She played about 6 or 7 because she come off the bench God knows how many times. It just makes a mockery of the whole setup that, you know, people like Jordan Nobbs are missing out for sentimental reasons because there's no way Jill walks in. Jill won't even be a starter in that team. This is what's ridiculous. And then you're looking for inspiration to come off the bench. I think Vic said further up, you know, there's 2 days in between games. So somebody like that that's like, 36, 37, that's struggling for form and fitness, that's barely played, you're expecting her to come off the bench and make an impact. It's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, her time's done. So I just baffled, you know. Like I say, Cuthbert, how she's left out as well, you know, throw her in the mix. But I mean, carry on with what you were saying, pal. I'm just...
Well, no, I'm just having a, you know, I'm not the biggest international football fan in there, but I look at the reserve players list as well. That Lottam Ruben Moy, sorry, I probably butchered the name. Should she maybe get a bit of a start there? Neil Charles from Chelsea, Ella Toone, which we'll come on to in a minute, because I do want to come on to Toone, because she's our sole representative in the Team GB. But they're all on the reserve list. But I argue, should they really be in the sort of main squad already? You know, just to blood these players in, to give them a chance. Because I know that that this manager won't be the England manager going forward.
No.
So she probably doesn't have an eye on the long term, but if she was the England manager going forward for the long term, I'd use this tournament to blood the youngsters and see what my options are in the future for future tournaments, especially with the Euros coming up next summer as well. Not this summer, next summer. You know, I just think I don't know, mate. I just think it's a bit of a lost chance there, you know. You said something about the central contract because I'm a bit confused, but you said to me this doesn't apply to Team GB as much.
I'm not convinced it does. I mean, listen, I might be wrong, but I thought that the central contracts, because basically with those, it's the FA that pays the players, the English FA. So I'm pretty sure in terms of the Olympics, unless there's some sort of agreement where England, Wales, Scotland club together to pay them either a bonus or an appearance fee. I don't know sort of how that works. You know, Rich Laverty may be sort of more in the know on that, or any of the other journalists, but I think I'm not convinced that central contracts apply to Olympics and things like that. I think it's just purely internationals that are obviously non-Olympic, so Euros, friendlies, World Cups, you name it. I mean, listen, there might be a thing, but I still don't think that should play a part in selection. Selection should be done on form, pretty much alone, I think, for me, because you can't, you know, like I say, you can't be taking players that can't even, you know, get in their own club team. And yeah, it's like you say, you know, this manager might not be taking England going forward, but at the end of the day, you've got to take your best team, and I'd argue that's not our best team, because there's people that have not made the reserve list that are better than people in the team. And like you say, that reserve, I mean, listen, all of those reserve players could go, but I think I'd probably leave Neve out just because, again, lack of football at Chelsea. But form and how many games you've played has to come into it. But it's always the same every single time, you know, whether it's men's football and internationals, you know, whether it's the women's football and it's internationals, it seems to turn into a bit of a farce. Now, listen, I don't mind watching Lionesses, but I'm questioning whether I bother with the Olympics. To be fair, I think I'd rather watch Wimbledon. You know, I really would than watch that, because I just think, you know, like I say, it makes a mockery because, you know, the likes of Toone, who we're going to get onto, have worked so hard to get to where they are, you know, other players as well. And then you see names on there and you think, Jesus, are they ever going to disappear? I'm just surprised Carly Telford's not in there, because she always finds a way to worm herself in. She's like 5th choice at Chelsea now, a goalkeeping coach. Maybe she's trying out for one of them, what's them thing, like a, you know, a ball throwing thing, something where you don't have to keep hold of a ball, shot put or something. She must be down for. They'll find one way of getting her on a plane. I can guarantee it. Shot put.
No, but I think this debate always rages on because you could say, I think you could say it for the England men's team as well, where you're looking at some of the names, you say, and especially in the past as well, when we had the so-called golden generation, you look at it and you're like, oh, we're picking off names alone for who they are, or we're actually picking off form. And I think it's quite difficult as well for a manager because if you need one of your star players out, one of your big names out, people on your back. If you do blood somebody in new, and you leave one of those star players out that everybody loves, people are on your back, and sometimes it's hard. But at the same time, I wholly agree with you, and I wholly agree with Stu as well. Me and Stu know the score. I think it should be picked on form and merit, and hard work. Not just on name alone. Jill Scott has been picked on name alone.
So's KB.
Exactly, mate. And it's like, well, that one could have that second goalkeeper position could have gone. Do excuse me, I forgot her name. The Birmingham City keeper, the young keeper.
Oh, Hannah Hampton.
She could have gone. She's done not too bad this season.
Well,
experience.
They're taking 2 playing ones, aren't they? And the reserves travel anyway. But I suppose Hampton could go as the reserve and promote McKeever and take KB out, but. It's like you said, like with the men's. I looked at the men's the other day, and like Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, he's just got relegated with Sheffield United. He's probably one of the worst keepers I've seen in the league. Now, obviously, Pope's injured, fine, and then you've got Jordan Henderson, who I don't rate anyway, and he's been injured all season. But yet we dropped James Maddison, and it's like with the men's. For me now, this is one of the most exciting young teams for the men's we've had in probably since the late 90s. For me, easily. So again, but this just baffles me. The thing is about the Olympics, we're not going there, obviously, just to make up numbers. But at the same time, we're not going to go out there and rip up trees and win it, are we? So it's like, why not give people a go? Jill Scott must have had about 8 Olympic games by now, probably, knowing her. And others as well. I just think it's about time that these players, people say, well, it's the Olympics, it's massive. But if you don't throw them in when they're ready, they're never going to get a taste of that big stage, And if you're good enough, you're ready. It's as simple as that. And like I say, form alone, I'm not bothered if somebody's 18, 19 and gets picked. If they're good enough and they're ready enough, chuck them in. There's no harm in doing it. There's got to become a time. People say, well, we can't do it now. It's not the time. We can't do it now. It's not. When is the time? Do you know what I mean? A friendly against bloody Romania or something. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to be that competitive. It's just a pointless friendly. So I think there's got to be a time where these players are tested. John says, what other United players would you put in? Mary Earps.
Mary Earps, good shout.
Mentioned him before, second best English keeper, but she's not even made the reserve list. She's got the experience. How she's not got more England caps, I don't know. It's criminal. I think in terms of anybody else, there's been comments on LJ. LJ, if she'd had a season where she'd been fully fit, possibly. But it's hard.
I'd have chucked Kirsty Hansen in there, someone that's a bit of a wild card, And I think there's always a squad or two where you have that one player that's a bit of a wild card,
I think
that do your job off the bench,
I think the trouble we've got with that is that we've got sort of three players that are probably in the same position as Hansen that have seasons. Lauren Hemp's outscored her and out-assisted her. Who else is in there? Georgia Stanway can play wide or central, so she's probably going to be versatile. Nikita Paris's record is 1-2 in France. So, listen, Frank Kirby's been wide before as well. So it's difficult in the midfield. I get that, but certainly centrally, like I say, baffled. Stu Barker, second best English keeper.
Stu's question, you're the second best English keeper, mate.
Well, she's better than KB. She's better than Telford. No, I was just going off, like I said before, off this year's stats. She's I think it was Katrina Berger, who's obviously German, Ellie Roebuck, and then Mary. So on form and that alone for me, that's why I'm saying that. But yeah, like I say, could easily throw McKeever in there, but I'd still rate Mary over McKeever, Hampton, and KB and Telford for me. But anyway, each to their own. But yeah, Vic says there, don't you? Hansen struggled, not been played enough. I think that's probably the reason for that.
Yeah, it probably is, mate. I was just trying to pick off names that we could probably chuck in there that have had half a decent season because we've had a lot of injuries, haven't we? So
yeah, that's it.
But
if Alicia was fully fit, she'd have been
exactly, mate.
Well, so
speaking of a player that has made it, Ella Toone, albeit in this reserve list. You're going to tell me how a reserve list works. I'm sure. Is it in case somebody gets injured, they can pick out that pool of the reserve list?
Yeah. So basically, So they've got the reserve list. I think there's a 4 on it. McKeever, Lottie, Neve, and Toone. They basically travel with the squad, so they'll be out there in Japan. And obviously, if somebody gets injured, because I think the tournament's only a month long, isn't it? I think it's like 11th of July to 11th of August. Basically, those reserve players can replace anybody that gets injured. So it might be that somebody gets an injury for, say, 2-3 weeks. And, they may have to pull them out because there's a lot of games in like a short space of time, depending how far we go. I think, that those reserve players will go and it'll be good experience. Whether they get in, who knows? Injuries can happen, especially after a long season. We've crammed a lot in this year as well. But yeah, it's one of them, they get to sort of go out there, travel with the team, be in that environment. I'd be very surprised if we see any of them really. But, we can always sort of cross fingers, can't we?
Yeah, Stu was asking my mate, Stu Rulli, is how many friendlies do we have before the games? What's used this squad for shaping? And then
there was something on that the other day.
A little bit. Stu's gone, for me, this will be interesting. England have been rubbish for a while, and it's effectively a warm-up for next season's Euros, which I suppose with most of the squad being English, I suppose you could point that out. There will be one in the UK, then behind closed doors training matches, Stu was saying there. So,
yeah, because there was something published about that the other day. They said that there was definitely a mention of one friendly beforehand, because I think some other countries posted their schedule. I think it said ours was like coming out this week or something, where there was definitely one, and I think they might have said, if they can do 2, they'll do it, but they tend to keep that in-house, don't they? Like Stu said there, behind closed doors. Fix there said, it's even shorter. I thought it was a month. So 21st of July till 6th of August.
England friendly is 17th of June, but GB start early July, right?
Yeah, so that's it then, yeah. So it's like time for one friendly.
Kirsty Lavelle, joint Golden Glove in the Championship. Yeah, Robert's
he's doing that on purpose, isn't he? Because then he'll be moaning later, he'll be messaging me later saying, You started talking about Leicester. Anyway, to answer your question, Robert, no. I know that's harsh, and I'll probably get shot if she watches this. But no, listen, Kirsty knows what I think about her. Saw her for Everton, saw her for the England youth teams. Good goalkeeper, but I think for me, there's better options. I'm sure she'd probably agree with that herself anyway. And you can't be leaving out quality WSL players and taking just played in the Championship. I think that would make an even bigger mockery of it than it already is. But yeah, I agree with what Stu said further up about, effectively a warm-up for the Euros. I think because it's so Lionesses top heavy, it pretty much is. But again, this is why, for me, we've got to look to that next generation. You're not telling me in the next Euros that KB and Jill, well, they probably will actually, bloody age 40 and 50 or whatever, probably be rocking up. But I think the home Euros as well, what a great chance now, 12 months to bed a couple of these youngsters in. I do get the need for experience, but let's get a couple in there and sort of see where it takes us. But yeah, the Olympics is what it is. I don't even know what else there is to say on it. Maybe we should move on.
I was going to ask. I know we went a bit off topic, but I was going to ask about Ella Toone, if I may.
Yeah,
just for a couple of minutes. You said that obviously you just explained how the reserve list works. So probably hardly any chance that she gets any game time. But in terms of experience, though, it'll be a massive, I think, learning curve just to see how things work in a more of a senior environment as they lead up to a tournament and then going into a tournament. I suppose you could still call the Olympics a tournament, can't you, really? Despite it being a little bit different to the World Cup and the Euros. But it's a massive experience for her, a massive chance for her, especially if she does get a little bit of playing time. But for me, as I said, I think she should be in that squad. The season that she's had, she should be in that squad. But then again, people are going to say, who do you take it out for? But I quite happily just shove Jill Scott out there. I know it's different positions, but put her in. But, going slightly off topic here, I suppose the best player that I think the Olympics squad has got, and if they have a cracking tournament, we've always got some sort of a chance of medal. Is the former Frank Kirby? Is it in danger of becoming like a one-person show? And what I say about that is, do you think we're going to the weight is going to weigh down Frank Kirby, because they're going to look at Frank Kirby after a season that she's had, and look for her to be the sort of talisman, whatever you want to pronounce it or say it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a little bit unfair on her, or do you think that's something she might relish?
Do you know what? It could go either way, because I think back to, was it 2017-18 season. She was absolutely quality. Sort of 2016, 2017, 2018 for England. Her and Jodie Taylor for me were like the main two. And I look back at that sort of Euro 2017, and the pair of them were quality. And Fran had a really good sort of couple of seasons back then, prior to sort of injury and personal sort of things going on in her life. So yeah, listen, Fran's always been a quality player for me. Really, really good. Only small, but technically very good. Got goals this year, got her assists. Rightly so. I think she voted Player of the Year. I think might be wrong on that. I'm sure I saw her with two trophies in her hand anyway the other day. But I think the thing for me is she could probably handle the expectation now, a few years on, being a bit older. But I worry about burnout. She's played a hell of a lot for Chelsea. Like you said, she may feel the pressure. I just hope there's not too much pressure placed on her to get all the goals, because listen, Ellen White's more than capable of scoring. You've got your likes of Lauren Hemp in there. There's plenty of people in there that can chip in with goals, Paris, Stanway. So it could be interesting. But I think for me, we shouldn't be placing too much pressure on her. Like I say, she'd just come back from sort of a bad injury in a sort of a bad place mentally. And I think it'd be unfair to, be saying, right, we expect this, or we need this, or we need that. I think just let her go out there and sort of let football do the talking, because I think she maybe possibly lost her way a little bit beforehand. And she's even talked about that herself. She's at one point, I think she said, come out and said she might have been contemplating retiring. So yeah, I think, cracking player, Fran. Always enjoyed watching her over the years. But I think, like I say, let's go out there and just let the football do the talking, rather than place any expectations on anything. I think just go out there, try our best and enjoy it. For me, that'd be the main thing, because I don't think, like I said before, don't think what we've taken is strong enough to compete. Certainly not our best 18 for me anyway.
That come out on screen, pal. Who is the number one team in the Olympics? I'm assuming it'll be something like
USA, hasn't it?
USA. Well, yeah.
I'd say so. For me, anyway. USA, I think Holland have a good chance of competing there. Germany.
Sorry to put in, mate. Is any of the United players that we've had, like Kristen Press, is she in the Olympic team? Or they're not selected?
No. Do you know what? I'll be honest, I've no idea. I haven't seen anybody else's squads, to be fair. I've not even seen the Dutch one. I'm talking Jackie, but I couldn't say. Vix is saying USA, then Holland. Yeah, I think USA, Holland, Germany, they've all got a chance. But yeah, in terms of, like I say, another squad, do you know what? I'm like you, pal. I've kind of just not really bothered to pay attention. I only looked at the sort of GB one, thinking, here we go. It might be a chance to see some exciting players, and that was a letdown too. So, who knows?
Oh no, I don't think Tobin will be fit for the Olympics. I mean, I could be wrong.
Still not fit now. That's
still what. Not fit now, and I don't think she definitely won't make the Olympics.
Yeah,
Sweden are decent. Jane's saying no. Sweden. The Swedish are always in for the shout, of course.
I don't rate them.
USA just have a training camp in June and not announced yet. So,
that'll be it then.
Yeah. I'm going to finally round off the Olympics anyway. If you used to give Toone, because I know that you used to do a bit of coaching with Toone, a little bit of advice going into the Olympics, what sort of advice would you give her?
You know what? Enjoy it, but I think learn, take what you can, sort of, from the training camp. Take it and learn. She talked about training this year with Tobin and Kristen at the club, and she was saying she said, I was like a sponge, just mopping up any information. I think it's a big stage. Go out there. Obviously, like I say, enjoy it. It's one of them, because it's difficult when you're a reserve player, because like I say, you're part of the environment, you're training, but you're very, very unlikely to get in there, but for somebody else getting injured. So I think from a selfish point of view, and I don't like wishing injuries on people, but yeah, I'd like to see her in there. But listen, the home Euros for me, I think, should be the target. More than capable of getting in that squad. But like I say, enjoy it, go out and learn, improve, and then get in that England team for the home Euros and the Olympics again in 4 years' time. And you know, like I say, go and just improve, get your club form sorted this upcoming season, and let's take it to the next level for me. Tizer or Iron Brew, neither.
Neither.
It's
we've got a couple of Tobin. We've got a couple of Tobin training player at camp in June. And then Tobes with the US team. So yeah, she might well be then. I just thought she might be still a bit too soon.
I don't know. Like I said, I thought that Vladko guy said she was still not right, but God knows who knows.
Yeah, well, I suppose we shall see, mate. We shall see. Right, moving it on then, pal. And of course, there's been a discussion. Obviously, we had Rich Laverty on the show a few days ago with Natalie and with John, discussing about transfers and discussing about who's going to come in and when is it the right time for players to come in. And this has opened up a huge discussion on social media. People arguing, should we announce a manager before we bring in players? Is it all right to bring in players before we get a new manager? Will a new manager want these players? Will I take to these players, etc., etc., etc.? So we started off real simple, pal. Should we bring in a manager or announce a manager before we bring in players or any potential new players, or does it not really matter?
I mean, for me, I had this discussion on Tuesday, and there was one person in particular that was having an absolute meltdown over the lack of announcement of manager and sort of saying basically we shouldn't sign players with no manager. But I think for me, you can't look at it that way. We don't know if the new manager is done. But I think you only have to look at Arsenal that have made a signing without a manager. Now, for me, the way I looked at it was that, you know, we've got 10 players out of contract. So for people saying, well, we can't sign anybody till a manager comes in is ridiculous, because 10 players out of contract means we start pre-season with 12 players. Now, we're already behind, in my view, as we are now. So I think we need to get players in. Now, you're not telling me that these managers that are linked to the job, whoever they may be, are on the short list. You're not telling me that they're not going to be informed. You know, the club will be looking at targets. Casey will have had targets. Casey's already wrapped up 2 or 3 signings, and this is, you know, sort of been out there for a little while. No names, obviously, don't know, but, you know, that's been that. So, you know, it's kind of work with what you've got, and then when the manager's in place, add to it. Now, like I say, the manager could have been done. You know, there's rumblings that Casey wanted to walk a couple of months ago. What's to say that it wasn't, you know, already finalised, and it's something where a new manager will come in and work with what they've got. Yes, they'll add to it, but for me, I don't see why we should risk falling further behind and sitting still. You know, we need to. What the thing is, there's so many players that are coming out, you know, of contracts now. Why would we lose out just because we've got no manager? Do you know what I mean? You're not coming to play for Man United for the manager. I mean, yes, that might be a factor, but it's not the overall deciding factor. You know, you come because it's Man United. You love the club. You want to win trophies. You want to play in front of the best fans in the league, and that's that. You know, so see Robert's saying there, yeah, should be able to work with. I know this is the thing. Yeah. You know, you get sacked as a manager. You come into a squad of players. You inherit players. So this is what I couldn't understand when people are like, oh well, yeah, we shouldn't be signing anybody because the manager's not here. Well, great, let's start pre-season with 12 players then and be sinking down to mid-table. Do you know, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Sort of comment to make, really. I just think, you know, like I say, Arsenal have done it. There'll be other clubs that have brought people in and let people go without a manager. It's not the end of the world. Like I say, the club has a target in mind and that player becomes available. Why are you going to risk it just because, you know, like I say, the new manager will be involved, or the shortlisted managers, they'll be told, right, these 2 or 3 players have already signed pre-contracts. They are coming in. This is what you're left with. If you want to add to it, cool. We've had discussions as a club with this, and this. Because listen, I think there's John Murter, Steve, I've forgotten his second name, the finance guy, and Ben, the general manager, who are all involved in negotiations with the manager and the players, whether it's new contracts, whether it's new signings. So, you know, I think, like I said, it's absolutely crazy to be missing out on players and just downing tools simply because there's nobody that we know of through the door. Like I say, for all we know, it could be done. New manager could be in place. They could just be waiting. And the right time to announce, and then all systems go. But I think, there's sort of a big meltdown at the minute in terms of, not doing anything. And for me personally, like I said, I don't get it. I don't understand why you take that gamble on missing out on players or starting pre-season with no squad.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what United like as well? We are quite slow at announcing news as well. Like you said, we could have a new manager in place already, and then they might want to wait and announce everything all together. Look, this is our new management, and these are our new batch of players that we've got coming in with this new management, with the new manager. Mate, I said it as well. We can't. I think I said it on one of our shows, either last week or a couple of weeks ago. We can't afford to be waiting around.
No, we can't.
We can't afford to go into pre-season with, like you said, a squad of 11 or 12 and going, we're in the bare bones, and we start getting injuries, and we can't fill a squad in pre-season. Well, I suppose we'll have to bring in the devs and everything, so you'll always be able to fulfill a squad, but we can't fulfill a squad that's going into next season and having the best possible chance to start next season on the front foot. We're losing out, and it's not good for us as a football club. If we've got potentially a really good player coming in, whether it's a world-class player or someone's on the cusp of being world-class or someone that's got the talent to be world-class, we can't afford to be waiting around for a new manager and going, we'll have to. We're twiddling our thumbs. We're going to have to wait for a new manager. Sorry, would you mind hanging on for the 5 more days? Because then players are going to go, your club's not serious. We're going to have to go elsewhere.
Yeah, that's it.
Just Stu, on Stu's question, going back up on it. Any whispers on the new boss would be? I mean, we did a show about it the other day. Well, our last show, our pre-record as well. We waited to sort of who would be next manager. There's loads of names out there as per usual. And we did a Twitter poll as well, where we polled what a couple of weeks ago as well on a show where we polled where would you prefer the manager to come from, whether it be abroad with WSL experience or from within within United themselves. So everybody went for someone from abroad, 59% of the votes. So I suppose we shall see, mate. There's loads of names out there. Every day we get linked to somebody else. I just wanted to bring up this one here, Stuart. Agreed, it's not even June yet. If rushed, then it could be the wrong appointment. More important to take it time and get it right. I think he's on about the manager perspective.
That's spot on. Absolutely spot on. I echoed. I said exactly the same Tuesday. Like I said, somebody was saying, "Oh well, I want the manager now, and it needs to be done. It's worrying it's not done." It's like, why are we going into meltdown? Like Stu says, it's not even June now. Contracts legally end 30th of June. That'll be cases and that'll be players as well. So like I say, I'd completely agree. You don't want to rush now this next appointment and then them either not being good enough or them being sacked or leaving, in 1 to 2 years. Now is crucial because it's stability. We need to be looking at the next 3 to 5 years. And I think, like I say, there could be somebody in place, but if there's not, I'm not hugely worried because, we've got until, pre-season's probably mid to end of July. Season starts September. So, I'm not hugely worried. Somebody needs to come in, yes, obviously get the pre-season done, get sort of their style in there and their way of working. Absolutely. But again, there's no reason to rush an appointment. It's got to be right. We've got to interview candidates. We've got to, shortlist, get through that, work on transfers. There might even be new contracts of existing squad members to be extended. So there's a big summer. And I think sometimes, there's meltdowns when there's really no need for meltdowns, and it's like I said with players, people having meltdowns saying, well, we shouldn't be, like I say, bringing people in, but I don't understand how you can do that. Really can't. Should we?
Ugly Bear, Jill Ellis. He's shouting for Jill Ellis.
I said that. I said that, but I didn't realise she was in a director's role in America. That was the first name I threw out there when Casey went. Because that's a good point. And she knew how to win. She was a top quality name, and she'd been on the highest stage. Plus, I think she was from Portsmouth, so, or of English descent, something like that. So, yeah, and that's another good point. The transfer window does open on the 11th. So, again, all this panicking and rushing is really for... listen, it's not everybody. A couple of people, but, it's one of them.
Spanish League ends on the 26th of June.
26th. Yeah, see, we've been linked with, I think it was the Levante manager. Could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it says something about the new Levante manager.
Yeah, I know Natalie's a fan, and she mentioned the Levante manager, obviously working with a small budget and has to coach players. And yeah, I mean, listen, I don't watch Levante. It's one of the sort of few Spanish teams that I don't watch. Jealous as a Man United fan. Listen, mind you, I'm here saying let's chuck some money at it, but we know we've not got none, so maybe we can't chuck money at Jill. But yeah, a couple of interesting comments. Alana Kennedy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go back up to. Someone up here, Jockey, said Martha Thomas and Alana Kennedy. I know you're a big fan of Alana Kennedy. Martha Thomas?
No.
No, not Martha Thomas. Yeah, Alana Kennedy, that's the one from Spurs, isn't it, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, so Alana was the one that scored the free kick past us at LSV when we won 4-1. Somebody I mentioned in December, and the reason for that was she only signed initially a 6-month deal last summer till January with Spurs. So I thought, there might be a chance of nicking her. But she extended until this summer. And then their release list the other day, she was on there. So it might be that she has to go.
Yeah.
I would have thought that'd be more likely because there's no way Spurs get rid of a player of that quality. So I think, I mentioned again back in December, can play centre mid, can play centre back, can be a holding midfielder, has played mainly in them 3 positions throughout her career. So I don't see why, she can't be brought in now. Would she be a starter? Possibly not. But then look how many times we struggled without Hayley Ladd. So for me at the minute, or for next season, is Hayley, Toone, Jackie is your midfield sort of spine. And I've been more than happy if Alana came in, provided competition for places. I think she'd, like I say, more than capable of stepping in should an injury happen or pushing players, and she'd probably do a job against the smaller teams, the likes of the Tottenhams, the Villas, the West Hams, the Evertons, teams like that for a starting role. But yeah, I think Martha Thomas, no, I don't think, she was injury prone at West Ham. She had an okay season this year. But to be fair, I think we need to be aiming higher. And, no disrespect to her or West Ham, but, we're having a big turnover of players in terms of outgoings. We need players of the next level. And I think, for me, we've only got Alessia. That needs to be the minimum standard for the forwards coming in. We need that standard or better to take us to the next level, And I think further up, Vic said, we don't want to be coming 6th. We still want to be competing for top 3.
Yeah.
So, that we can't be taking on players that are struggling to get in the West Ham team or that are constantly injured, because then we just risk repeating this season. And it is a big gamble. So, we've talked about this, haven't we, as fans? Yeah. Players for the position.
It's the same for the men's team, really. We need that strength in depth, 2 quality players for each position.
Absolutely.
Ugly Bear, I want to go back to him for a minute.
Go on.
It's got up quick. If MBFC women came calling jealous, would be stupid to turn it down, even with our training facility issues. Massive shouts for jealous. I've noticed that on social media over the last few days as well. More and more people are sort of trying to lean towards jealous. That's a world-class manager there, really. She's won the World Cup, hasn't she, with USA? I mean, I'm not the biggest international fan, as you know. I'm sure you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's won the World Cup with the American national side. Would she leave? What's she in at the minute? A director's role or something, did you say?
Like a director or some executive in America. Because like I say, when it first broke about Casey, I was like, right, let's go for Jill. And it was just a spur of the moment thing I threw out on Twitter because at the time I genuinely couldn't think of anybody that was at that world-class sort of high level that we needed. But I think, what is it now? Yeah, stupid to turn it down even with facility and training. I think the thing is about Jill, for me, the training's a big issue because I think we'll end up back at Lee personally. And I think somebody like Jill coming in, she won't want to come in and do half a job. She'd sort of want those guarantees about the budget and she'd want those guarantees about, the training facilities because, listen, she's not a medical worker. Again, because of their league and their sort of finances and things, it depends what she's being paid. Because I'm sure she'll be on a pretty decent wedge just for her knowledge and her expertise alone out there. So whether we could match that, obviously, it says it is Man United. So could that persuade her? Possibly. I'd like to think so. But again, she might be happy living it out there in America. But who knows? I think love to see her in the WSL. I think it's a challenge that she should look to take on if she can. But yeah, again, Victor said a lot of NWSL coaches are English. Would they come back? There was another name I've seen linked. A couple of people have mentioned recently, Mark Skinner, that used to be at Birmingham, that's at Orlando Pride. He's had a bit of a tough time out at Orlando, actually. Not really, sort of hit the ground as running as much as people would have thought. But again, it sort of makes, for an interesting discussion. But I do think we need to be looking, as high up as we can get. Like I said, last week on our pre-record, to take somebody that's sort of up and coming again would be a bit of a gamble now, especially based on what we're looking for. Casey was the right person at the right time with a good mentality and a good work ethic. You don't want, sort of, for me, an up and coming manager to have the pressure of rebuilding the squad and getting near to the top three and trying to win a trophy as well. I think it'd be too much.
Is Wolfsburg's manager not free now? I don't know who Wolfsburg's manager is. You'll know more than me, Matt.
I mean, is Wolfsburg's manager free? Do you know what? I don't know. Obviously, they've still got a game, haven't they? Is it tomorrow, the cup final?
Could be May. I mean, we are come towards the end of the seasons, aren't we? So
I think it is tomorrow because it's on YouTube. But yeah, I think. Do you know what? I honestly don't know. Stephen or something. Coaches, or he did when I last watched it. Coaches Wolfsburg. So who knows? I honestly don't know.
Vicky said the Wolfsburg manager's already got another job. So.
Oh right, well that solves that then. I know. Yeah, he has been there for quite a while. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he's moving on. But this is the thing, though. People have got jobs lined up.
Yeah.
And it's like, do we pay and use up what little budget we have on getting a manager, from another club, or do we look and say, right, you're out of contract, you're out of contract, you're out of contract. Let's use you, and then let's put what money we've saved on and paying for a manager towards a transfer budget. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Who knows with that?
It's like I think Case Stone's replace has to be a big name like GLS to keep fans like myself who won't watch women's game for long interested. Also, that as well, but you always think that United we should be picking the best in class that what we could get, and if she's only a director or whatever she's doing over there back in America, surely then we would have to pay little to no fee at all, for someone like GLS to maybe come across, which is maybe advantageous to us, so it doesn't eat into our budget too much. But again, it's all just guesswork, isn't it? Thank you, Stu, for tuning in, pal. I'll see you in a bit, buddy. Vicky, Juve manager's free, but looking for other Italian jobs, apparently.
Keep her over there, then that's fine by me.
Yeah, Matt's not a big fan of the Juve manager.
Not a big fan of Juve in general, pal.
I know.
Let's just put it all out there, lad. Anything to do with Italy is just a no-go for me.
Oh, bloody hell.
Side, anyway.
K6 assistant manager keeps hanging around on MUTV. Is it? Oh no, I think you're on about Glenn Harris. No. He's not a manager that take Manchester United forward. Listen, he filled in a void. He filled in the void when he had to, which we're all grateful for. When Willie Kirk left and was in a bit of a disarray, coaching staff wise. And he's not. To be fair, he's done a bit of coaching in his previous jobs and everything as well. He did a job, but no. Dutch or Spanish coach were going abroad. Look at FC20's men and women's teams. Shout, I suppose. Dutch coaches. Shout. Money in women's football, small fry. Throw 10 million a year and keep and reap the benefits.
The thing about that, we talked about the Leon budget, didn't we, last week? Yeah. And I said, they'd worked on roughly 8 to 10 million. So that is pretty much, it is bang on. It does show reap the benefits. I've always said, for me, Leon have always been the best team in the world. Maybe not this year. I think they've maybe dropped probably below par. There's been a couple of teams, PSG and Barcelona, have really stepped it up this season. But yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? There's a lot of talk about the finance and the funding. And listen, if the Glazers were willing to put their hands in the pockets, mate, and pigs could fly, then we'd be getting somewhere, wouldn't we? But we're sat in a situation where we're probably not even going to chuck 1 million at it. Let's be honest, let alone 10, sadly. So. Yeah,
I'm assuming this Levante coach is called Maria Pry. I'm assuming that's what Nat's on about there. And then she just said, "Imagine having Glenn Harris as our manager." I don't think Nat will have any hair left if Glenn Harris is announced as manager.
Listen,
Glenn, as I said, he came and he stepped up. He did a job what he had to do, but
I don't think none of us would have any hair left, pal.
That'd be a huge back step.
None of us would have any hair left. But the thing is, again, it's like the debate of, when people saying, can we look to promote from within or get, somebody else's first team coach? It's the same, Glenn's not managed a team for years. So, again, coaching and managing the two separate things. But yeah, Maria Pry is the Levante manager. And like we talked about earlier, little budget, they're up there competing, they're in cup finals. So it might be. I don't know. Nat will probably know more whether she's out of contract in summer. Would Michael Carrick or Kieran McKenna be suitable for fans as next manager? Go on, Ben. Take it away.
Carrick wouldn't, I don't think, necessarily have the experience. But this is the problem now. You've got these two coaches that are regularly getting slagged off in the men's side for not being too experienced. And McKenna, he came from a good coaching background. I think was it Spurs that we nabbed him from. And he was supposed to be the next big thing, but unfortunately, he hasn't seemed to have worked out coaching-wise. I still think they've both got a lot to learn. I don't know. I'd rather see us go for someone within the women's game, like a Giles, like a Maria Pry. I think Natalie is saying strong room she's going to leave.
That would be.
I think, to be fair, I think Nat's a big fan of Maria Pry, how you pronounce her second name. You know me with pronunciations. Mm-hmm. And I'd go with that. Levante is a decent squad, as far as I know. Again, I don't know too much about international teams other than us, other than United. I'm pretty useless in the women's game. But I'd take it, and I think, I don't know if that's her rumours about maybe getting linked to United, whether she's heard strong rumours or not, or whether it's just the fact that she's just going to leave that job at Levante. I would. I'm with Vix here, though. Don't take a men's player coach for the women's team. Let's have someone, passionate. That's what I was trying to get at. Passionate about women's football. Somebody that's
using it as a stepping stone, like Phil.
Yeah. And to be fair, had he not got that Miami job, I reckon I could bet you a top dollar that Phil Neville would be the top guy in line for, the United job. Had he not been into Miami,
my days,
I could guarantee you, Phil Neville. So Vic's saying, sick of people like Phil Neville using.
No.
I'm the only one that actually like the guy.
Hey,
I must be the only one that actually like Phil Neville.
Oh my God, you didn't watch the Lionesses enough, then, pal. I'll say that much.
That's why I liked him, because he fucked the Lionesses up. Good lad.
It's bad enough. It's going backwards still. No, just sort of back to Maria Pry. I think that's an interesting one. I think it is one of them where she holds a pro license, which is one of few coaches to do so. I think most are an A. There might be a couple that are pro license, but yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. She's coached for a little bit now. Could she come over and challenge herself in a different league? Why not? Phil Neville, awful. Just awful. This is why I think when you were saying about Carrick and McKenna, again, being a coach is not being a manager. And I think, again, comes down to experience for me. I'd like I say, it shouldn't be used as like a tester. Oh, well, you've never done it before. Let's chuck them in the women's game. I think just no. Throw them in at the men's under 16s or 18s or 23s, like what happened with, say, Scholes and Solskjaer, work your way up, but don't just be like, oh, well, tell you what, we'll chuck them in the women's thing. I think it comes in, and for me, it just undermines the whole game and the whole setup. But yeah, I mean, listen, Maria Pry could be an option. Jill Ellis, I'd love, but I can't see it happening. We've got Gerard, Rishaw, whatever his last name is, can't say it. But yeah, I think, I mean, that's saying bringing Matt
or ever, I think, you know, as a general coach.
I mean, the thing is, it's
coaching badges and that, and then putting across what Manchester United should mean. Like Evra did, you know, saw
Evra has, and he watched. I think the thing with that is do it the way, you know, she talks about there about Konchesky and Heskey.
Yeah.
They're coming in. Well, Konchesky's actually in, I think, as assistant now, but Heskey went in as an ambassador. Did a little bit of coaching. They kept the original coaching structure, and he does a bit of work with the forwards, and he's still an ambassador. You know, great idea. Now, could we do that with Evra? Evra could be a women's team ambassador. You know, he could look to get involved with the RTC, the devs, the youth sort of setup, and do a little bit of coaching to get the experience with the first team. I wouldn't be against that as long as it didn't unsettle it, you know, and then see what happens. You know, but as number one choice for me, no, don't ruin what we already have. You know, again, Robert says there, look at Perlo, who's been shocking. Yeah, that loves Vicky Jepson. Jepson, dear me. Tell you what, if Vicky Jepson's putting in for the job, I'm putting in for the job. Put it that way.
Here's one for you, though. Would you take like a year of, say, someone like, I know he's got a job at the minute, I think somewhere in Russia or something like that, but a coach of someone like a Reddy Mudderstein's experience, you know, someone that's coached the Manchester United first team very successfully, back to Champions League success, everything. Would you take a coach like him maybe to come in for a year to work alongside a manager, or maybe come in to be, I don't know, a temporary manager or something? I think just maybe coach the players on another level to what they're probably used to, or do you think we should definitely be looking at somebody that's within the women's game?
If you're talking a coach, then listen, I'm not against him coming in as a coach. I think, you know, as long as he's not coming in being the manager, then that's absolutely fine. You know, you're always looking to improve. In fact, I tell you what happened. He went down to Bristol. Was it last season? I don't know if anybody remembers. He did a couple of months at Bristol City Women alongside Tanya. Now, listen, I wouldn't be against that. You know, you've got obviously Martins in there. But listen, you know, like you say, he's been there and done it on a big stage. As a coach, absolutely. You know, you're always looking for the best coaches. That would be fine. But I think, first of all, you know, let's get the manager sorted first. And then if we want another coach alongside Martin and he wants to do it, even if it's not permanently, you know, then why not? I don't see why he wouldn't come in and do it. You know, his daughter works for the club, doesn't she, for MUTV, still based up here. Like I say, he'd done a bit at Bristol. So, you know, if we're looking at improving the whole structure, then, you know, give it a try. If it works for him, trial basis, if it works for him, let's do it and work alongside. Or if not, you know, we could even boost the devs. You know, there might be a role there, or it might be that Martin goes back to the devs as he was and he sort of fits in first team. It's an interesting point, but you know, I think I'd say
in the back of my head, mate.
I think before we do before we look at backroom staff, I think the manager for me is the most important. Like I say, it could already be done, but let's just get that and some players in place and then look sort of from there onwards for me.
Before I wrap up the show, I don't know what Natalie's on about. She'll be watching our devs, Vicky. I don't know if she's on about, she's replied to Vicky in the comments, or she's on about Vicky Jepson.
No, I think she, I don't know. Yeah, I think
Vicky Jepson fucking watching our.
No, that's what I was thinking. She's been watching the devs. Vicky Jepson probably could have been watching our devs. Who knows? But listen, she ain't got a job and she ain't coming anywhere near my club. Certainly the first team, anyway. So yeah, like Jockey said, he knows my thoughts on Vicky. Definitely not. Just no. Nah, she'd be better going back to Liverpool. Vicky, put her in with their devs or something. Don't ruin ours.
Absolutely. Right. It is coming to an hour mark, so I'm going to wrap it up. Because let everybody get back to the Champions League. You know, I know there's a final going on. Thank you for everyone that's tuned in, and if everybody in the comments is up as per. Thank you, Matt. Pals with Charlotte Healy. Oh, that explains it then. Thank you. I don't know, at least some people know what's going on with them.
Let them stay as pals, but don't have her doing the job. Hearing me.
So anyway, Matt, where can people find you? I know I always say this and people should know by now, but just in case anyone new's out there watching, where can people find you, pal?
Yeah, Twitter mainly, name on screen. is the best way usually. Like I say, bit quiet on the off season, but you know, we work with it, and there's still conversations and things and discussions, so it's all good. Obviously get involved. You know, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, or you know, might have friends or family members, whichever, YouTube and Twitter, all for United WFC. And yeah, just keep the love coming in the comments and things, and keep watching as you always do.
Yeah, and just to add on it right quickly, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you to everybody that has, and if you're not, click the bell notification. Please click that bell notification, because it will tell you when your upcoming videos are coming, so you don't have to worry about fishing out for when videos are coming live on this YouTube channel. Once again, thank you everybody for joining us. I know there's a Champions League final going on, so I'm really, really grateful. We've had solid numbers all throughout tonight, so I really do thank you. We should be back next week, so thank you very much. Have a great rest of your Saturday, ladies and gents, and we'll see you next week.